Mr. Chouksey, what is your understanding of the partial lockdown? And we understand that a lot of cement companies are looking at restarting their operations. What is JK Lakshmi planning to do now that partial lockdown is lifted?
Well, we too have started operations in some of our units, like in Gujarat, Chhattisgarh, we have already resumed. In Rajasthan, we are expecting that we'll be starting things today, both at Udaipur and Sirohi. So that takes care of almost about 80% of our capacity should resume partial operation. Haryana is the only place which still seems a bit away, but rest of the places we are starting the partial operations from today.
When you say partial operations, how much your current capacity would be, let's say, on stream by this week?
We expect we'll be doing about 30-35% of our capacity. You see, the challenge is not the operations today. There are two basic challenges. One is the supply chain for the logistic and the trucks, etc., to get back on the system. So while we have taken all the care for social distancing, hygiene, sanitation, fumigation, all that is in place. But the issue is, number one, getting the trucks back into the cycle. That is the challenges to get to the drivers to the truck. Lot number of trucks are still standard. Number two, the biggest issue is, I think, the demand creation. Because most of the construction sites today do not have the labor. And the labor, especially the immigrant labor, which consisted of many of these construction workers, daily wage earners, till the time they are able to come back, the full operation will still be, some time away. But having said that, most of the construction in the rural areas we find will get resumed for two reasons. Number one, they are able to make do with the local labor. Number two is most of the state governments, especially the central government, is very keen that the economic cycle gets back on track, and therefore construction is one of the activity which kickstarts the economy rather quickly. So I think all the variables are in place to ensure that these things get moving. So while reaching to the peak capacity would obviously take some time, it's a huge challenge. But I think not all is lost. We should be reaching about 50% capacity utilization by June, and that's what we believe.
Sure. Okay, so June end is what you're looking at. How are you preparing for that as well in terms of precautionary measures, in terms of really how you'll sort of have your daily wage laborers also coming in on this, those that need to come back into certain areas, resuming work, precautionary measures again even for them, getting back in touch with dealers who've also been completely shut down during this time?
Yeah, sure. You see, we have a very detailed standard operating procedure laid down. Fortunately, in many of our plants, we have workers who are staying within the colony. So they have, in a sense, got used to observing these norms for last nearly a month. In fact, even before this lockdown happened, we had started from almost the first week of March, some of the measures like the staggered shift timing, the screening of the workers at the factory gate, working with about 50 to 60% of the workers. So we have taken many measures in place. Today we are practically a paperless operation when the driver enters and right up to the point when he exits. So except for the e-way bill, he is not carrying anything else. So I think the minimum interface of the people to people is what we are trying to attempt. And I think we are fairly confident that as far as we are concerned and the procedures that we have adopted will not be a problem. Coming to the major question of the demand and the dealers and the network, how do we really connect with them? I think one of the opportunity that we have got during this period of 1 month is we have been practically interacting with 4,000, 5,000 odd dealers of ours and some good 5 to 800 key customers of ours with whom we have been in touch. And some or the other person from our organization has been in touch with them every day, every single day. First to ascertain how they are keeping, sensitizing them that the norms to be followed. And again, we have worked out a operating procedure for them when they are working from their shop or from their outlets. So I think this opportunity of 1 month has been very well utilized to sensitize all the stakeholders in the entire value chain.
Mr. Chouksey, how has pricing been disrupted and post the lockdown as well? How do you see trends panning out? Do you see a further reduction in pricing?
Well, a reduction in the pricing is something I don't think the industry can afford at this time, with 30 or 40% of the capacity running, and very little headroom for improving the efficiencies. As in many of the areas, the Indian cement industry is a benchmark today in the world. So there are really very little scope. Everyone is trying to work through cutting down the fixed cost and, of course, conserving the cash, etc. But the headroom really is very less. So I do not see any prices really going down. The challenge would be to operate even at the pre-closure prices. That itself will be a huge challenge. But we are grappling with it. We are trying to maintain that, ensure that the supply chain costs do not increase. Well, that's another threat that we are facing. With a limited number of trucks and we trying to resume the operation, there is always a fear that the supply chain costs may go up. Similarly, the dealers who will be operating with much less volume would also try to increase the price to just for a break even. So I think we have challenges all around, but we are quite confident at the same time that we'll try to overcome them, all of them.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, Mr. Chouksey. Good to hear of the kind of developments underway there.